Thanh Thanh xin trân trọng kính chào đến tất cả quý khán thính giả của Thanh Thanh Network. Kính thưa tất cả quý vị, Thanh Thanh đang đứng ở trong một cái sảnh của khách sạn ở nơi đây, đó là thành phố Port Arthur ở tại tiểu bang Texas. Và ngày hôm nay là một cái ngày rất là vui và rất là vinh dự đối với lại người Việt quốc gia, đặc biệt ở ngay tại tiểu bang Texas nói riêng, cũng như là ở trên khắp thế giới, đặc biệt là ở trên 50 tiểu bang của Hoa Kỳ nói chung quý vị. Bởi vì ngày hôm nay là một ngày thứ hai đầu tuần của tháng 12 luôn, tức là ngày 6 tây tháng 12. Và ngày hôm nay với một cái sự lời mời của một cái người chị rất là đặc biệt, lát tí Thanh Thanh cũng sẽ giới thiệu đến quý vị, cũng như là có đôi lời để phỏng vấn chị. Và như quý vị biết là Thanh Thanh đã ở trong đảng Cộng Hòa rất là lâu rồi, từ khi mà bắt đầu mới có quốc tịch là đã bắt đầu quyết định mình theo đảng Cộng Hòa cho tới bây giờ và đeo đuổi cái lý tưởng đó của mình. Chính vì như vậy ngày hôm nay một lần nữa đây là một cái sự vinh dự, cho nên là Thanh Thanh đứng ở nơi đây. Đây là một cái sảnh mà quý vị thấy Thanh Thanh đến rất là sớm để mà quay lại những cái hình ảnh mà ngay từ lúc đầu luôn để mà quý vị có thể xem. Thì Thanh Thanh được biết đây là cái cuốn giống như là cái brochure, cái cuốn sổ. Ở đằng sau là tất cả những người mà họ đứng ra tổ chức cho cái bữa trưa ngày hôm nay, chứ là những người này cũng là những người rất là quan trọng. Họ là những cái người mà chạy cái chương trình của ngày hôm nay. Thì Thanh Thanh được biết chắc chắn là Thanh Thanh sẽ được chụp hình với lại thống đốc của tiểu bang Texas, đó là ông Greg Abbott. Nhưng mà có được phỏng vấn hay không thì Thanh Thanh chưa có chắc, là bởi vì không biết là cái lịch trình của ông sẽ có mặt ở đây bao lâu như thế nào. Thì mình cũng không có gọi là cái gì được voi mà đòi hai bà Trưng, đúng không? Như hay là được voi mà đòi tiên. Thì kệ, không sao, tới đâu hay tới đó. Nếu mà Thanh Thanh được phỏng vấn thống đốc của tiểu bang Texas, ông Greg Abbott, thì một cái điều trên cả tuyệt vời. Còn nếu mà không được thì Thanh Thanh cũng biết chắc chắn là những cái lời phát biểu của ông, tức là phát biểu chung ở trên cái sân khấu, thì chắc chắn Thanh Thanh cũng sẽ ghi lại tất cả những hình ảnh đó, nhất là những cử tri nữa. Và những cử tri sẽ đi bầu cho thống đốc trong cái tháng 3. Thanh Thanh được biết đó là bầu nội bộ của đảng Cộng Hòa. Thì trong nội bộ của đảng Cộng Hòa quý vị biết cũng sẽ có rất là nhiều ứng cử viên cho cái chức vụ đó. Còn thống đốc của tiểu bang Texas Greg Abbott là ổng tháng 3 là ổng sẽ ra gọi là tái tranh cử. Rồi bắt đầu ở trong nội bộ bầu ra rồi thì bắt đầu tới tháng 11 là giữa ứng cử viên của đảng Cộng Hòa một người và ứng cử viên của đảng Dân Chủ một người. Thì lúc đó là mình mới biết được là ai sẽ tiếp tục hay là ai sẽ đảm nhận cái vai trò thống đốc cho năm 2000, cái nhiệm kỳ 2023 bắt đầu đó, tức là đó thì 2022 là ông thống đốc đó, ông sẽ hết nhiệm kỳ. Đó là như vậy, sơ sơ một chút xíu về vấn đề đó. Thì bây giờ Thanh Thanh bắt đầu mời quý vị chúng ta bước vào bên trong để chút xíu. Thì quý vị hiện tại bây giờ thì nó vẫn rất là sớm, nhưng mà Thanh Thanh vẫn quay những cái hình ảnh này để quý vị thấy là trước khi và sau khi. Bây giờ đó thì Thanh Thanh được biết là chừng độ khoảng nửa tiếng đồng hồ nữa mới bắt đầu, nhưng mà người ta đã vào đây sớm rồi, Mỹ đúng giờ lắm quý vị ơi. Gọi là cái gì không có giống như mình mới nói người Việt mình gọi là cái gì, không ăn đậu không phải mễ, mà không đi trễ không phải Việt Nam. Còn ở đây 11 giờ rưỡi là đúng 11 giờ rưỡi là bắt đầu là xuất hiện, mọi nhân vật là đều phải lên sân khấu hết. Đây thì bây giờ quý vị nhìn xung quanh những cái quang cảnh là quý vị đó. Ok, camera của Thanh Thanh đang quay vòng vòng để mà xung quanh những cái khung cảnh có thể là quý vị nhìn thấy. Thì trong đây Thanh Thanh được biết là khoảng 300 mấy khách đó, là 30 mấy bàn ở trong đây. Thì mỗi bàn như vậy ngồi 10 người. Thì họ trang trí, họ làm rất là đẹp. Vâng, kính thưa tất cả quý vị, đứng kế bên Thanh Thanh là ông thẩm phán ở tại thành phố Port Arthur này, ông tên là Mitch Timberton. Ok, rồi ngày hôm nay Thanh Thanh sẽ có một cái cuộc phỏng vấn ngắn với lại ông thật là nhanh, hỏi về cái tình trạng đất nước hiện nay, ông cảm nhận như thế nào. I'm very glad and this is my honor to be here with you. And I just have a very quick question. What do you see and what do you think about America right now with everything? I mean, economic, vaccine, border, and so on. To me, I think it's a mess. What did you think?
Well, I think there are a lot of serious issues, and I think that people that are recognizing that there are issues, that our Bill of Rights are constantly under assault. They constantly have to be defended, protected, and advocated for. And so I think when you look at our immigration situation at the border, when you look at our economy, when you look at our legal system, do we have a dual system of justice? Are people being treated equally under the law? How about law and order? What are we going to do with regard to violent crime in our communities? There are a lot of serious issues. There always have been and always will be serious issues, but they do seem to be very poignant or serious right now. Well, bail reform is a very serious topic, and what we need to do is strike a balance. We don't need to have poor people that are simply in jail because they're too poor to make bail. They don't need to be trapped in our system. That said, if you look at our current bail statute and our new bail statute, public safety is an element that a judge or magistrate is supposed to consider before they grant bail. And so the problem of releasing violent criminals or alleged violent offenders multiple times, even with multiple bonds, really should not be happening. And in my opinion, and I do this, as a magistrate, I do set bail. I'm the only state district judge in Jefferson County that's actually doing that job. Usually justices of the peace and other magistrates do that work. It's a very serious issue. Our legislature just passed laws dealing with it. They're so new, I don't even know all the terms and conditions of the new law, but it is a serious issue. It's apparently a very serious issue in our larger counties like Harris County, Dallas County, maybe Bexar County. And judges have to, under the new law, have to be trained in setting bond, establishing bail, and hopefully they'll make better decisions going forward as a result of that training.
Is that possible to change that law?
Oh, it's really even not. It doesn't require a change in the law. It requires a judicial philosophy that protects the public. The law will work as it's written right now. The question is, how do you apply the law? And that's where judicial temperament, judicial ideology, so to speak, comes into play. So, yeah, to answer your question, yes, it can work better, and hopefully it will work better for the people of Texas.
And hopefully it will be better.
Yes, hopefully it will be.
And
you have to elect the correct judges, maybe.
yeah, like you, right?
I think so.
All right, once again, thank you so much.
Is our speaker today, and what an honor it is to have Governor Abbott here in Beaumont. When he gets here, which will be shortly, we will thank him again. Another reason this day is special is because we will have new leadership installed by Governor Abbott, and that is very exciting. We have a great group of women who have stepped up, and they are going to be your new executive board and committee chairs, and you will meet them in just a little while.
Please bow your heads in prayer. Dear Lord, as we waken every morning, let us take in the new day as an infant, full of amazement and wonder. To resolve our cries, let us be thankful that we have food to nourish us and blankets to warm us. Let us remember that the human touch, a simple hug, or a hold can fill our hearts with contentment. Thank you for the greatest gift, the gift of your Son and everlasting life. As you accept us as we are without adornment, let us love you with our whole being. Please hear our prayers to those who are ill, families who have lost loved ones, or other reasons we struggle. Please hear our prayers for our local leaders and those who govern our state and nation. And finally, please hear our thanks for delivering unto us a baby. It's really as simple and as difficult as that. Amen.
Amen.
Left, right. Left, right. Left, right. Left, right. Detail. Halt. Left, face. Board, arms. Present, arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red
300 patriots singing our national anthem.
Shoulder, arms. Post, colors. Ready, step. Left, face. Forward, march.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now for the Texas pledge. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. The state right now, this is their time frame. So we need to go along with the schedule, and if we do that, then we'll be prepared and trained in plenty of time for the elections. Also, Melissa Conway, who I was referring to, she will be one of the speakers in our January meeting. So she will be here and she will continue to explain what the Republican Party has done to beef up our elections. Welcome, Governor Abbott. I've been saying a whole lot of nice things about you. But anybody in here can, I'm sure that they were listening, they can repeat what I've said. But it was all good, all good. So.
We have, and I have to say this because Randy Weber always said it, we do not have Congressman Weber with us today, but he said, I want to introduce my beautiful wife, Brenda Gale. So tell Congressman that I took his place. And she has her communications director with her, Lisa Reynolds. And my other sidekick that helps me through so many things, y'all don't know all the things I can't do that they help me do, is Janet Brown. She works for Congressman Weber in my office. And the reason why this crowd is so large today is because we have our great Governor Greg Abbott here. My old state senator, Brandon Creighton, Senator Brandon Creighton. And he has several guys with him that I've become very close to, Ivan Canales and Cole Mychalk. And I can't say enough words about this guy. He's been my mentor. He's been, whenever I've been in trouble and I've needed help with candidates, I call on Alan Ritter. He's our former representative. We have Zach Johnson, who's the Chief of Staff for the Texas Speaker, Dave Phelan. Lauren Perkins, who's the Deputy Director for Dave Phelan. Chief Justice Scott Goldman, 9th Court of Appeals. Justice Leanne Johnson, the 9th Court of Appeals. Jeff Brannick was to be here, our county judge, but court called him and he's faithful to his duties. But we have his lovely wife Sherry with us today. Allison, your name's been mentioned than anybody else's, but I've got to introduce you as our tax assessor, collector, and voter registrar. Carrie Erickson, our county human resource manager. Mitch Templeton, the 172nd District Judge of Jefferson County. Okay, these guys that I'm about to call have, when I first started teaching, they were in the 9th grade. Brad Burnett, Justice of the Peace of Precinct 7. And I have to tell you, and Teresa, his wife, who was in school when I was teaching. And then we have Jeff the Jet Bertrand, if you're into football. Jeff the Jet is back there. And Chrissy, his wife. We have Brian Warner, Constable of Precinct 4. Bobby Adams, Constable Precinct 7. These are the two guys that you need to say thank you on your way out. All right, city officials. We have Mike Getz, who's Beaumont City Council, Ward 2. We have Taylor Neal, Beaumont City Council, Ward number 1. I did not see him come in, but we have the mayor of Port Neches here, Glenn Johnson. We have Joe Evans, who's on the school board of Beaumont Independent School District. And Joe, stand up for a little bit because we have a new announcement. He is going to be running for our county chairman for the Republican Party. Judy Nichols, who is our current county chairman. Will you stand up, Judy? She has served for 2 years as vice chair. We have another great club in Jefferson County, Republican Women, and Pat Green is the president of that, Southeast Texas. We have Sheila Fasky, who has a club in Orange, and she's vice president. She was president, and she's with the Orange Club. Alright, now we have some candidates, and this is what we're going to be working on, girls and guys. Roxanne Helberg, Jefferson County Clerk. Gordon Freeze, 317th District Judge. Stephanie Hall, 9th Court of Appeals. Wayne Pratt. We have Jay Wright, 9th Court of Appeals, running. people running for county commissioner number 2, and it's going to be Eric Erickson, Sean Miller, and Alex Rupp. Justin Chason, Justice of the Peace, precinct number 4. Janice Holt, State Representative, House District 18. These are the people.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that.
Sit in this chair.
But it does, something like that does put me into kind of a semi-awkward situation. As Allison was pointing out, by the way, thank you very much for the very kind introduction, but as Allison was pointing out, obviously I'm a graduate of the University of Texas, and I support the Texas Longhorns. However, as you know, I'm the governor of the entire state of Texas. And so, yes, that does mean that I support Giga Aggies. I support the Big 12 champion Baylor Bears. Anybody here from Houston, I support the Houston Cougars. Anybody in Beaumont go to Texas Tech? Guns up, Brecken Tech. Whatever university you went to, some may have gone to Lamar University. Whatever university you go to, just know as governor of the state of Texas, I'm working to increase your budgets. I want to go back and thank you, Allison, for the very kind introduction, and in particular, I want to thank the Golden Triangle Republican women for being the largest Republican women. Yes, as you were pointing out, you were once a lot smaller than this. But I think that your growth is a sign of exactly what we are to anticipate here in the Golden Triangle, here in Jefferson County. Because let me tell you something. We are going to win the Golden Triangle in Jefferson County in 2022. I'm going to tell you how we're going to do that. But before I tell you how we're going to do that, let me look through the rearview mirror and thank you for what you have done for me in the past, but in doing so for what you've done to advance the election of Republicans in the past. Now listen, I look at poll results and I look at election results, and I know that there are some people concerned about the fact that Jefferson County has been kind of a purple county over the past few election cycles. You elect some Republicans countywide, and there are some Democrats who are elected countywide. But let's set this course by setting a table about exactly what happened in the last election for governor. So not the last election for president, but 4 years ago, when it was the last gubernatorial election in Jefferson County, you gave me more votes than any other candidate on the ballot who was opposed by a Democrat, and the largest percentage of votes. Thank you, Jefferson County. You also gave me more votes than any governor has ever received in Jefferson County, Texas. Thank you, Jefferson County. Thank you, Golden Triangle. I mention those facts because I know personally, and my staff who works on campaigns knows, the great extent to which you all partnered with our campaign to make phone calls, knock on doors, get out voters. Let me tell you something. Winning elections is not some mystery. It's really easy to determine how elections are won. It's hard work. And no one works harder than the Golden Triangle Republican women. Thank you for the great job that Now, I do know, and you may know also, 4 years ago, Beto O'Rourke got a little bit more than 50%. I know, I got it wrong. I'm sorry, I apologize. Robert Francis O'Rourke got just about 50% of the vote in Jefferson County. However, even though he got about 50% of the vote, I got 52.5% of the vote in Jefferson County. And what I want to explain to you today is why it is that we are going to win at Jefferson County and why it is that we are going to win the state of Texas. Candidly, that formula has never been easier before than it is now because of the wide difference between what Republicans stand for and what Democrats stand for. And I'm even wrong in labeling them to be Democrats because they used to be Democrats and then they were liberals and then they were progressives. And now they are who they tell you they are. We are running against socialists who are trying to redesign the United States of America and destroy the fundamental underpinnings of what made this country work. And there may be no more obvious and no more painful way to observe the way that the Democrats are trying to destroy Texas and the United States than by their open border policies that are complete lawless and chaos and will be stopped. And understand this, the open border policies, that they're not because of some haphazard approach by the Biden administration. They're not by accident. They're not because of challenges they're dealing with. Remember going back to the campaign for the presidency. Joe Biden, Beto O'Rourke, and others, they campaigned on the policy of running for open borders. It was their goal all along to be globalist, to have no borders, to have no walls, to allow everybody in from the entire world into the United States of America, and that, unfortunately, is exactly what has happened. Over just the course of the Biden administration, we've had more than 1 million people come across our border illegally from more than 150 different countries across the entire world, imperiling the United States and our national security, endangering our local communities on the border. And as governor of Texas, I will not tolerate the Biden open border. So let me tell you what we have done and what we're going to do. First of all, with the help of your two great senators from the Texas legislature, Robert Nichols and Brandon Creighton, think about this. You think last year Brandon Creighton knew how much people in the United States of America were going to like him? All this "let's go Brandon" talk. He's a whole hero. He's known across the United States of America. Let's go Brandon. So anyway, with their help, Texas provided $3 billion of Texas taxpayer money to step up and do the federal government's job. As we're having lunch here today, know that there are 10,000 National Guard and Department of Public Safety officers on the border, and they are putting up these massive containers that you see on 18-wheelers or that you see on these massive ships crossing the ocean. And on the other side of these massive containers that are on the border is razor wire that is used in battlefields to prevent soldiers from crossing the battlefield. We're using it to prevent people from coming into the United States illegally. Also, if they do make it across, however, we have a new program in place where we arrest and jail people coming across the border into the state of Texas. We arrest them for trespassing, for vandalism. We opened up thousands of jail beds to accommodate all the arrests that we're making. If you're coming to the state of Texas, you're not getting the Joe Biden way where you get catched and released. You get arrested and jailed if you come to Texas coming across our border. Let me tell you something, it was just June of this year that I signed the documents to begin the process of Texas building its own border wall. Go back to the time when Trump was president, when he talked about when he was going to build a border wall, and it took him seemingly about 2 to 2.5 years before you saw that wall actually go up. So I signed these documents in June. We are now less than 6 months in the time period after I signed those documents. I want you to know, before the end of this month, that wall will begin to go up on our border. One reason why it's going up faster than the Trump administration was able to do so is, for one, we're starting on our own land. Texas has its own land on the border, and we are going to start the building process on that land in Starr County. Separate from that, there are so many people who have property on the border who are so angry about the Biden administration allowing the property to be overrun. They are offering their land to us for free. Hundreds upon hundreds of miles to build a triple wall. We're using every tool and strategy we can to do the federal government's job. But let me add this one other thing that may make a difference. What the Biden administration has done, they have been lawless in their approach, quite literally in the sense that they are abandoning the rule of law. One of the laws that was left in place by the Trump administration was the Remain in Mexico policy. Texas filed a lawsuit against the Biden administration in federal court, requiring the court to reinstate the Remain in Mexico policy. We won that lawsuit. It was appealed to the Supreme Court. We won there. The Biden administration now is conceding to have to re-implement the Remain in Mexico policy. That process begins this week, requiring the people to remain. So listen, when you look at all these radical leftist socialistic agenda items, they use it in ways that are really very dangerous because they try to impose it on our children in our schools, and it's reprehensible. And you see this in so many different ways. One of the ways that you see it is with this teaching of critical race theory. I'm proud of the state legislature because we came to realize that this critical race theory that we thought was occurring in places like California, etc., we found it taking place even in our own schools in the state of Texas. During this past session, I was handed a book that was used in elementary schools in the state of Texas. And what it does, it seeks to criticize and condemn the history of the greatest country in the history of the world for the way that we founded our country and the way that we elevated our country. And then it also pits races against each other and causes races to criticize and condemn each other. It does the opposite of what Martin Luther King taught us all to do, and that is we are not to judge people by the color of the skin, but by the content of their character. So through the regular session and then adding the item to a special session, we passed a ban on the teaching of critical race theory in our public schools in every grade from kindergarten to 12th grade in every subject of the schools. And Texas now has the strongest ban on critical race theory in the United States of America. Let's also look at the different way that the Democrats want to approach the response to COVID compared to the way that the Republicans respond to COVID. They believe in lockdowns. They believe in mandates by government, destroying your freedom, telling you to mandate that you take a vaccine, mandate that you wear a mask, limiting where you can go. Let me tell you something. As long as I am governor of Texas, there will be no vaccine mandates. There will be no mandates. You will have your freedom protected. Now, I know from having visited with some of you already that there is some level of confusion about all these complexities about all the lawsuits and legal action. Let me explain to you exactly where we are. There have been 3 federal mandates imposed by the Biden administration requiring that people get a vaccine. We have challenged those mandates every step of the way. And through the federal courts of appeals, we have received rulings that have halted all of Biden's vaccine mandates across the board. There is no federal mandate that exists in the state of Texas right now that anybody be required to take a vaccine if you do not want to. There's only one mandate in the state of Texas as we speak right now, and that is the mandate that I issued, which was a counter mandate. I had to counter what the Biden administration was doing, so I issued a mandate through an executive order authorized by Chapter 418 of the Texas Government Code that says that no business, no governmental entity can require that you take a vaccine in Texas. It's your choice, your freedom. Nobody can require you to do it. I know that there are some people in this room, or some people that have family members, some people in this room have family members, that they are subject to some businesses, maybe some hospitals, trying to impose this vaccine mandate. And they're looking for solutions. There are two avenues for solutions, or actually three avenues for solutions. One is legal action by the Texas Attorney General. Two is legal action by your local district attorney. Three would be a private legal action. Some people have said that they've reached out to the Attorney General's office, and the Attorney General's office has some level of uncertainty about their ability to bring a legal action. I want you to know that as we gather here today, my office is working with the Attorney General's office to make sure that it's going to provide them an easy pathway for the Attorney General's office to bring a legal action against any entity that tries to impose a vaccine mandate on you or your family members. You deserve and you shall receive the freedom of choice to decide what is in your best health care interest. Let me tell you another reason why we will win Jefferson County and why we will win the state of Texas. Do you really think that people who live in Jefferson County would go vote for a candidate for governor who says that, hell yes, he's going to come take your guns? That's not going to happen. Let me tell you something. As long as I am governor, you will be guaranteed the right to keep and bear arms under the Second Amendment. Beto may not get a dozen votes in Jefferson County just because of that alone. But to make sure that we live up to that Second Amendment rights, with the help of these legislators, I signed two laws. One is a law making Texas a constitutional carry state. Another is a law making Texas a Second Amendment sanctuary state, prohibiting the Biden administration or Beto or anybody from coming in and getting more guns. But the real heart of the socialism that the Democrats are trying to impose on us is embedded in the Green New Deal. Now, the Green New Deal that was created by Ocasio-Cortez got such a bad rap they had to rename it. And so the renaming of the Green New Deal is the infrastructure bill. And who could be against infrastructure? Until you learn the fact that most of the money that goes to this infrastructure bill is all the money that they're trying to spend later on this year. It doesn't go to building roads or bridges or infrastructure like what we know. It goes to their social infrastructure that redesigns the United States in their image of socialism. And I'll be candid with you. Hopefully you know what I'm about to tell you, you've seen what I'm about to tell you, because it shows exactly how they, the Democrats, the Biden administration, they are trying to use this Green New Deal or infrastructure plan, as well as their policies, to kill energy jobs in Texas. Now we're in Beaumont, and I have to assume that whether it is you working there or your family member, probably at least half the room has a personal connection with energy jobs in this region. May be wrong. Maybe 100% of this room has a connection with the energy sector. Hopefully you saw what was said by one of Joe Biden's nominees to a position of the comptroller of currency, where this person was caught on tape saying, what we know is their plan. She said, and this is in the videotape, we're not parsing language here, I'm using her language, I'm going to give you a quote. She says, they want to require oil and gas companies to go bankrupt. I've never before heard any nominee to a vice president who wants businesses in America to go bankrupt. This is hundreds of thousands of jobs, hundreds of thousands of families and children who need food. They got bills to pay. The Biden administration is trying to destroy it. It's exactly the same type of Green New Deal policies that Beto O'Rourke has embraced. In Texas, we believe in guns, and we believe in oil and gas jobs, and we will not allow the federal government to destroy those jobs. You know, one of the most humorous things I've seen about the Beto campaign is running on jobs. What? As if Texas hasn't done anything on jobs. Texas, for 17 years in a row, has been ranked the #1 state in the United States as the best state for doing business. Every year that I have been governor, Texas has received the Governor's Cup as the #1 ranked state in the United States for the most new economic development projects in the entire United States of America. Even during the year of COVID, Texas elevated the international economic rankings. Before COVID, Texas, if it were its own country, we would have had the 10th largest economy in the entire world. As we gather in Jefferson County today, that is no longer true, because today, Texas now has the 9th largest economy in the entire world. In case you're wondering, the country we surpassed is Brazil. So Texas has a larger economy than Brazil. We have a larger economy than our neighbors, Mexico and Canada. We have a larger economy than Australia. And Texas even has a larger economy than Russia. And that makes me more powerful than Putin. I may be asking these guys for my own nukes this next session. But these jobs, they're more than statistics. They're more than trophies. These jobs play a remarkable role, a transformative role in the lives of our fellow Texans. Let me tell you just one quick story. It's a story about a bill that they passed that I signed that creates incentives for businesses to be involved in apprenticeship programs. We know that some people want to go to law school or medical school or whatever the case may be, but we also know that so many jobs are demanded by our employers, and that so many people across the entire state of Texas can have are jobs where they get good skill training. And that's exactly what this apprenticeship program does. And so I signed this law on the business campus in Baytown, Texas, of a company called S&B Engineers and Constructors. And when I signed that law, I met an African-American woman who told me that 4 years before that, she was homeless and she was helpless. And then she went through this training program at S&B Engineers, and she had worked her way up. And since that time, she had gone on to be a home owner. And I asked her how much she was making. And when she told me how much she was making, I said, get this. 4 years ago, you were making nothing and you were homeless. Today, you're making more than the governor of Texas. That is what these programs can do. But there's something else, and it's something that involves life itself that's at stake in this election. And I don't think a lot of people in Jefferson County, I know a lot of people in the state of Texas, will view Beto's approach to abortion with great hostility. His approach to abortion is going to stun you. He believes in late-term abortion. What that means is that you could look at 1 hour before a baby is born and still abort that baby. But it gets worse than that. Because Beto, when he ran for president, went on record to say what I'm about to tell you. He said, he was asked the question if he supported a piece of legislation, and that legislation would say this: if a baby is subject to an abortion but survives that abortion and is still alive, would he support a law requiring a doctor to provide medical support for that child? And he said no. That is murder. That cannot be tolerated. And because we see evil like that in Texas, that is exactly why we supported and I signed a law to protect the life of every child with a heartbeat. Two more things. I could give you 2 more. I'll just give you 2 more. One is one of the craziest and most chaotic schemes that we've seen these Democrat socialists embrace. They are trying to redesign law enforcement. And I mean, look at our law enforcement officers over here. The Democrats, they want to, quote, reimagine law enforcement. That's insane. Look at what's happening in Los Angeles and San Francisco, where you see all these stores robbed all the time. Look at what's happening in Portland and Seattle and Chicago and Minneapolis and New York. Wherever you have seen these schemes of, quote, reimagining police, you've seen fewer police, you've seen increased crime, you've seen record murder rates. In Texas, we do not defund our law enforcement officers. That's exactly why they passed and I signed a law that will defund any city in Texas that defunds their police. The last thing I'll talk to you about is I want to update you on the status of what's going on with regard to election integrity. Listen, I'm a former Attorney General, and when I was the Attorney General, I brought more criminal actions to prosecute voter fraud than any Attorney General before me. Candidly, I think I brought more criminal actions against voter fraud than all of my predecessors as Attorney General combined. I know voter fraud exists. And that's why I made voter fraud and cracking down on it and election integrity an emergency item this past session. And we got down to the 1 yard line about having that bill passed in the regular session, and that's when the Democrats broke quorum. They left Austin, they went to Washington, D.C. With nothing more than 12-pack of Miller Lite. And I told them I was going to call special session after special session until we passed the election integrity bill. Finally, they came back. We got it passed. The good news is this: the bill that we passed was even better, even stronger than the one that they boycotted. Texas now has the strongest election integrity bill. I could give you a long list of things that it does. Let me just mention 2. 1, it cracks down on the 2 easiest ways in which voter fraud occurs. One is through mail-in ballots. If you send out or send in a mail-in ballot that violates the law, you're subject to a felony. You will be going to jail. The other thing is what's called ballot harvesting. You know, someone who should know about ballot harvesting is Barack Obama himself, because it was Barack Obama, when he was president of the United States, he sent a team of FBI agents down to South Texas to investigate and to prosecute a ballot harvesting scheme where people were using cocaine to get ballots, where they illegally cast these ballots that they harvested. Ballot harvesting now, after this session, is a felony. You will go to jail if you're involved in ballot harvesting. The last things along these lines I want you to know about is what's going on with regard to the forensic auditing process. So in the Secretary of State's office, we created a new election audit division. And they are undertaking in the midway process of the largest forensic audit of the 2020 election of any state in the United States of America. And they're not just recounting votes. They have a 13-page checklist of all the items they go through to determine whether or not there was anything involving irregularities or fraud, whatever the case may be. And if there is, those matters will be referred over to the Attorney General's office for prosecution. To all together, we will ensure that we put an end to cheating and illegal voting at the ballot box in Texas. Let me close with a quick story. It's a story that is really representative of the people that I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at people right now who love the United States of America. You know, it's the greatest country in the history of the United States. And I can tell because I see it on your face. That as much as you love the United States of America, there are many of you who love the state of Texas as much as you love the United States of America. I saw this very profoundly in a trip that I took recently when I went to Paris, Texas. Paris, Texas is on the other borders, on the Red River, our northern border, where when we get done with the wall on the southern border, we're going to build a wall on our northern border. But in Paris, Texas, Northeast Texas, when you go to the airport there, you leave, and you're going down a two-lane road that's a neighborhood. And as we were going down this two-lane road, this neighborhood, something that stood out was that every single house that we passed by, there was an American flag flying in front of it. We turn from there, go to the main road into downtown. It's a traditional town where they have a courthouse in the middle and a town square, and every business around that town square had an American flag flying. That is the type of patriotism that exists in Paris, Texas, and Beaumont, Texas, and so many places around our state because we love our country so much. So what we need to come to grips with is what we're seeing in this next election. That is, there are people in the United States of America, as well as people in Texas, as well as people on the ballot this election cycle. They don't like America the way that it is. They want to redesign the United States of America into their image, into their reimagination of the socialistic ideas they want to achieve. And they want to destroy America, and they despise Texas. Let me tell you something. We will not let them win. We will defeat them. We will defeat the socialistic ideas. We will stand for conservative ideas. We will protect you and protect you. We will keep Texas the greatest state in the United States of America. God bless you all. And God bless the great state of Texas.
like to ask you if you can drop a quick message to especially the Vietnamese community voters that they gonna vote, bring all the votes for you for your next re-election. Thank you so much.
So first, I'm proud to have you here. But second, a very special message to the Vietnamese community. One thing about the Vietnamese community that's the same for all Americans. We believe in freedom. It's why so many people left Vietnam. It could have been a decade ago or 20 or 30 years ago. They were coming to the United States to seek freedom. And there's no state that provides freedom as much as Texas. Second is the economic policies. In Texas, we have economic policies that give everybody a chance at opportunity, everybody a chance of having a good job. The Democrats, believe it or not, they believe in socialistic, even communistic policies that so many people are trying to escape from, and it just makes no sense. They want to impose those policies. Republicans will never let that happen. So we'll keep you free, we'll keep you prosperous, and we believe in public safety. We want your families to live in safe neighborhoods and safe towns. We support our police, and we will continue to keep you safe, keep you free, keep you prosperous.
Thank you so much again, Governor Greg Abbott. And I hope with this message, I know for sure with this message, there will be a lot of Vietnamese voters going to vote for you, have been voting for you, and will vote for you in the future.
Thank you
so much.
Of course.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks. Vâng, kính thưa tất cả quý vị, đứng ở phía bên đây Thanh quý vị biết là nguyên trong một cái phòng ăn trưa ngày hôm nay với lại thống đốc của tiểu bang Texas là ông Greg Abbott, thì chỉ có 3 chị em là người Việt Nam thôi, rồi 2 cái áo dài, rồi ở đây cũng là rất là yêu nước Mỹ, cũng phải khoác cho bằng được cái cờ Mỹ vô, tức là chứng tỏ là chúng ta rất là những người rất là yêu tự do và yêu cái lý tưởng Cộng hòa. Thì đã nói là yêu lý tưởng Cộng hòa thì giờ quý vị có biết chị Thu với anh Thường là hai vợ chồng rất là dễ thương, gọi là cái gì tiểu gia thôi chứ không có đại gia. tiểu gia em nói tiểu gia đó,
hay bảo trợ các em ca sĩ.
Đúng rồi. Cho nên là ngày hôm nay Thanh phải rất là vui đó là có được cái cơ hội và cái vinh dự tới đây là bởi vì một tay chị Thu lo hết tất cả mọi thứ cho Thanh chỉ có việc là tới đây thôi, rồi mặc áo dài vô rồi là tới đây là muốn làm gì làm thôi. Thì ở nơi đây em rất là cảm ơn chị, và để mà em muốn hỏi một câu hoặc là chị muốn nói gì chị nói, là tại sao chị gia nhập ở trong cái hội này và tại sao chị lại ở trong đảng Cộng hòa, và em biết là với những cái gì mà chị sắp xếp cho em như thế này, được gần gũi với lại ông thống đốc, rồi được chụp hình với ổng, rồi vân thì chị phải bỏ ra rất là nhiều thời gian và rất là nhiều công lao, cho nên là chị ở nơi đây chị chia sẻ thoải mái.
Chào khán giả của Thanh nha. Thứ nhất là chào khán giả Thanh đứng bên cạnh của mình là có Thanh, rồi có đây là mình hay kêu bằng thím Thư, mà thật sự là thím là Tinh Dung. Nhưng mà lý do mình yêu Republican tại vì mình là đảng Cộng hòa, rồi hơn nữa mình lúc nào cũng yêu mến cái thống đốc của mình đó là ông Greg Abbott. Bởi vì hôm nay mình tới đây á, mình sắp xếp cho Thanh nó cảm ơn thì không đúng, nhưng mà có một cái là không sao đâu, chị lúc nào cũng support em mà, đúng không? Rồi đại khái là hôm nay á, là có thím ở đây nữa, thật sự là thím trẻ lắm, mình kêu thím nó quen rồi thôi. Giờ để nhường lời cho thím nói về vấn đề mà thím yêu mến ông thống đốc.
Đúng rồi ở nơi đây sẵn Thanh hỏi luôn thím Thư nè.
Chào khán giả của Thanh. Chị thì rất là yêu Republican từ ngày bước chân sang Mỹ này, thì mình cũng thấy mình yêu nước Mỹ và mình yêu cái tự do, thành ra đó mình phải lựa Republican because mình thấy cái đường lối của người ta lúc nào cũng đi những cái mà giúp dân rồi giúp cho nước, chứ không có nghĩ tới cái cá nhân của mình. Thành ra mình thấy cái điều đó là mình thấy cái gì đúng là mình đi theo thôi.
Một lần nữa thì Thanh xin cảm ơn chị Thư rất nhiều, và chị ở đây một lần nữa em cũng xin cảm ơn chị Thu cũng như là ông xã của chị, đó là anh Thường ngày hôm nay không có mặt, nhưng mà cũng luôn lúc nào cũng rất là yêu thương các anh em ca sĩ, MC, nghệ sĩ, rồi đủ thứ đó, rồi ngay cả yêu luôn thống đốc luôn yêu luôn người theo đảng Cộng hòa luôn. Cho nên là em rất là cảm ơn chị đã cho em một cái cơ hội này ngày hôm nay đã đến đây, và cũng như là dì Thu nói rồi đó, thì chúng ta là những người yêu chuộng tiếng nói tự do thì đương nhiên rồi là chúng ta sẽ coi như là tự bơi và tìm tới nhau thôi. Ở nơi đây thì em phải thay mặt cho khán giả của Thanh Thanh Network là cảm ơn chị Thu đã cho em cái cơ hội như vậy. Dạ, tại vì á nếu như mà không có cái cơ hội, chị không có gọi là gì làm một cái nhịp cầu nối cho em ngày hôm nay tới đây, thì chắc chắn khán giả của em cũng không có cái gì để coi cho cái chương trình ngày hôm nay. Đó là như vậy. Chị nói đi.
Nếu mà khán giả yêu Republican, yêu đảng Cộng hòa thì phải yêu Thanh Thanh, đúng không?
Rồi.
Phải bấm cho Thanh Thanh một like, bỏ cái thumb up.
Đúng rồi đó. Rồi với lại quý vị nhớ là đi bầu cho thống đốc Greg Abbott thì hiện tại bây giờ mình chưa biết, tại vì tháng 3 đó là bầu nội bộ trước, rồi sau đó mình mới biết là ai chính xác. Tháng 11 mới bắt đầu là bầu là một người đảng Dân Chủ và một người đảng Cộng hòa.
Chính xác,
đó,
đúng rồi.
đó, cho nên là tháng 3 thì ai mà đảng Cộng hòa nhớ bầu cho thống đốc Greg Abbott để ông ra tái tranh cử.
Đúng rồi.
Đúng. Cảm ơn chị Thu rất nhiều. I love you baby. Cảm ơn quý vị, cảm ơn dì Thư, cảm ơn khán giả. Và một lần nữa thì Thanh Thanh xin trân trọng kính chào đến tất cả quý vị và cảm ơn sự theo dõi quý báu của tất cả quý vị. Bye bye.